cross paths even. The neighbor, if I'm supposed to be the Samaritan, then who is the neighbor? I think that the way I'll give you my super short summary of the Good Samaritan parable of, I think my understanding of the point behind it. It is, your neighbor is...
Hi, I'm LJ Trekker, the host of Who Is My Neighbor. Today I'm going to have Mike Winger of the YouTube channel Mike Winger, and all his information will be in the description, so check him out, and the full length of the video will be in the description as well. So Mike, who is our neighbor?
And who is your neighbor? Well, we know the story of the Good Samaritan, and the nature of the Samaritan is that he was considered, and the Jew is that they were considered very. There was tons of animosity between the two groups, and they considered each other illegitimate. The Samaritans thought, hey, in our town, we have the right place to worship God. And then the Jews were like, no, it's in Jerusalem. Now, the Jews were right on this topic, but this created a massive divide between them, so that Jews and Samaritans often tried to not cross paths even. So the fact that the Samaritan helps, of course, we know is pretty significant in that passage in Luke 10. But you're asking, who is the neighbor? If I'm supposed to be the Samaritan, then who is the neighbor? I think that the way I'll give you my super short summary of the Good Samaritan parable of, I think my understanding of the point behind it. It is, your neighbor is anybody you encounter in life who is in need. That's it. So anybody you encounter in life who's in need. And that's the thing about the Samaritan. He's on his way on the road, and he sees a Jew who normally they have nothing to do with each other. Jesus tells the story about how he helped this man, and then he asks this question to his audience. He says, who was the neighbor of this man who was injured? And they said, well, the one who helped him. And so that's the bottom line, is like, who is your neighbor? It's who you can help, who around you needs help, who needs assistance. Now, we often focus this assistance on just super practical thing. You guys forgive me if this strikes you as odd. I just want to say, we often focus our assistance on certain kinds of people. And what we want to do is open up our eyes to see around us people that just have needs, and not focus on only helping certain kinds of people. I think that's one of the points of the parable of the Good Samaritan. So one example in our culture nowadays is homeless people who are standing on the side of the road. People often think, oh, I'm being the Good Samaritan because I'm helping that particular homeless person. But those are, of course, the homeless people that get the most help financially, because they're the ones standing on the road. There's lots of homeless people that would never do that. They would never go out and panhandle like that. But we then think kind of like my job is done. But really the idea is that you're just helping whoever you encounter. And this is the thing. Pray that God gives you eyes to see the people around you that have needs, and that you be aware of their needs, and you'd think, that's my neighbor. When I say they're my neighbor, I'm basically thinking I have something of a responsibility to help them. You know, when my neighbor, I hear a noise in my neighborhood, I always open my door and check, and I'm like, hey, does anybody need help? I think that's the mentality is, I am a resource for helping whoever I encounter.
Thank you for listening and downloading. Please like, follow, comment, rate, and share the show. Don't forget social media to support the show. Use the handle on Twitter and Instagram at LJTrekker. That's ELJAYTREKKER.